Please be seated. Good afternoon. My name is Richard Simpson, and I'm the Vice President for Education. I'm delighted to welcome you to the Institute of Culinary Education's 2024 celebration of the commencement of the graduates of our Pastry and Baking Arts program, our Plant-Based Culinary Arts program, our Culinary Management program, and our Hospitality Management programs. We look very forward to celebrating the accomplishments and the achievements of our students that brought them to this day. We're going to begin our program with our first speaker, Rick Smilo, the Chairman and Chief Executive of the Institute of Culinary Education. Chairman Smilo.
Thank you, Richard. Well, greetings and good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you for ICE's 2024 New York City Campus Commencement. Now, I just came back from the ICE Commencement in Pasadena for our campus out there, and they seem to like what I had to say, so I have high hopes for today also with all of you. And as far as, the earlier commencement we had, there's no reviews yet, so I don't know, but you're going to hear pretty much the same talk. And just to make a quick comparison between you and the Los Angeles commencement audience, I think you are as good looking or better than the Los Angeles crowd. As far as ambitious, smart, dedicated, motivated, I'm not sure. Probably equally. All right, so you know a little bit more about me. Now, you already know I don't have a future as a professional comedian, but I've been the leader and CEO of ICE for over 2 decades. And I didn't get to this position by being a chef or an educator. I will admit that. People are always saying to me, hello, chef, or thank you, chef, or something like that. And I say, I'm not a chef. Don't insult the people who really are by calling me a chef. But I did get here by being an entrepreneur and more of a marketing type. And that began actually in 1995. And at that time, many years ago, we were in a walk-up building on East 92nd Street. And back then, I couldn't have predicted that ICE would grow to be the prominent institution it is now. I didn't know we would have a restaurant management and a plant-based program, the programs represented here today, nor a campus in Southern California, associate's degrees in California, and most recently, a fully online program. But most importantly, I didn't know how satisfying it would make me feel to know that our team's investment of time, sweat, and resources would help now thousands of people just like you, to launch their careers. So to be addressing you today is personally very rewarding. To begin with, there are some thank yous I'd like to extend. First, the parents and loved ones. You encouraged our students. You may have helped pay for their education. You may have tasted their homework, and hopefully it was tastier as the lessons progressed. How about a round of applause for the parents and loved ones? Second, I'd like to thank the staff at ICE that works hard and with purpose and dedication. And it's a broad group. First, what comes to mind are the chef instructors. That's who the students know the best. But there are also dozens and dozens of people in roles like registrar and job placement, financial aid, student affairs, admissions, purchasing, facilities, maintenance, and more that make it possible for our diploma programs to run. And I'd like to thank the people who planned this commencement ceremony, who in summary I will call the Commencement Committee. How about a round of applause for all of them? And in advance, I'd like to thank our guest speakers. That is Culinary Arts graduate from 2020, I believe, Gabby Chappelle, as the alumni speaker. And as some of you may know, she has a lot of big news recently, and you're going to hear more about that. And we're proud she could be here. And someone who's had a lot of big news for about a decade and great honors is the esteemed chef, restaurateur, and ICE alum, Mashama Bailey, as our keynote speaker. So you may be wondering exactly who, this is to the parents, who are we recognizing today? So these are the graduates of the last 12 months. Some graduated, finished, with the program 10 months ago, and others, could have been 2 weeks ago. But we do this once a year for the graduates of the prior 12 months. And in this session, it's people who were in the either pastry and baking, restaurant and culinary management, plant-based culinary arts, or hospitality management program. The culinary arts students, those meat-eating heathens, they were this morning. Beyond programs, let me describe the canvas or collage of ICE alumni. They are diverse, not just culturally, but in age, nationality, and future goals. The range of positions and goals is really quite broad. At ICE, we have alumni who have opened restaurants, catering businesses, food trucks, and become highly compensated personal chefs. ICE also has alumni who've started nonprofits to help train immigrant women baking skills, and we have others who have worked on the development of food banks. We have alumni whose businesses are best known for a range of things that we like to eat, not in any particular order, but that would include barbecue, cookies, vegan sushi, ice cream, and pasta. And we even have an alumni who is on staff as a doctor at Yale New Haven Hospital. Dr. Nate Wood's goal is to launch a culinary medicine program at the medical school, and he is now in a better position to do that because he went to ICE. So when I look out at the new alumni out there, I know that you all will go in many directions and travel many paths, and it's very exciting. And we look forward to seeing where the path leads. So I would be remiss if I didn't give you some perspective and some advice. So I have one category of perspective and 3 or 4 bits of advice. The perspective is that I know after many years and thousands of graduates that our alumni will define success in many ways. As you know, our school motto, or you may know, is find your culinary voice. Now, when that was first presented to us by a marketing agency around 2009, I thought it was sort of a corny line. But soon after, I realized that it fits so well, and it's what we try hard to achieve here at ICE. There's many examples of different voices and paths. For alumni Missy Robbins, it was to be a chef entrepreneur, and she does that very well. She's the executive chef and partner of Lilia and Missy in Brooklyn. She, in the past, was one of Food & Wine's 10 Best New Chefs, and in 2018, she won the James Beard Award for the Best Chef in New York City. By contrast, ICE alum Maria Rodriguez, her goal was to keep her daytime job in a medical center, but work only on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday nights as the pastry chef in a suburban restaurant. That was her goal, to keep her day job and be a part-time pastry chef. For Andrew Riggi, culinary school has led to civic engagement. He is the director and was the founding director of the New York City Hospitality Alliance, which particularly during the pandemic was New York City's, the voice of New York City's restaurant community, working with city, state, and national leaders. So those are examples of how success can be defined in many ways, and one's culinary voice can be defined in many ways, and we encourage you to find yours. And by the way, as your voice and choices develop, let ICE's alumni office know what you are doing. Now, we know from past experience that women are pretty good at that, and men are pretty bad. So men, keep in touch. Now for some advice. This is sometimes I think of this as fatherly advice. One of my daughters was here this morning and heard me say this, but she hasn't gotten back to me yet to say if the advice made sense to her. But I think it will. I think it'll make sense to all of you. First of all, make teamwork a priority and a habit. When you watch the Emmys, the Grammys, the James Beard Awards, the end of a Super Bowl or World Series, there is one word you always hear. Do I mean Disneyland? No. I mean teamwork. Everybody talks about teamwork. The performer stars and notables you hear talking about teamwork aren't just being nice, they are being honest. Little gets accomplished without teamwork. So what makes a good team player? It is someone who is, 1, always reliable, adapts quickly and easily, displays genuine commitment, does more than is asked, and communicates honestly, clearly, and respectfully. With great teamwork, a workplace, be it a restaurant, a hotel, a pastry shop, a catering business, work will be more satisfying, the results will be better, and new ideas are more apt to develop. Today, one of your jobs is to be a great teammate, but we hope in years to come that part of your role will be to create and guide a team. Advice number 2, be patient. While earlier I was speaking about your diversity, there is one thing I know you all have in common. That is that you are only 1 to 11 months into your careers after culinary school. In the scheme of things, that's not very long. And most, or perhaps all of you, are in jobs where there are many techniques, skills, and practices to master. So the simple advice is, be patient. Focus on mastering skills so that you can move on to other skills. Focus on mastering skills so that you can teach those skills to others. I wouldn't be surprised if, for those of you that have been in your post-externship job for 2, 3, 4, 5 months, that one of your jobs already is to teach other people things. Here are some quips and quotes on the subject of being patient and practice and skill building from chefs you may or you may not have heard of. So Alex Atala, who is perhaps the best-known living chef in South America, wrote, "The difference between what is good, very good, and exceptional can be found in repetition. A chef must master the basics before he or she can create something exceptional. And the only way to master something is to repeat the process many times, honing your skills and making slight changes to your methods until you have reached your own version of perfection." Another quote comes from an ICE alum named Colin Alevres. Years ago, I heard him address some ICE students, and he said, quote, "Repetition is only boring if you don't realize you're learning something." Another quote, a bit more tongue-in-cheek than the others, is from Chef Daniel Boulud, who said, "Remember, it's never the knive's fault." The last part about patience is that it's easier and more effective to be patient when you don't spend too much time comparing yourself to other people. A great bit of guidance for everyone that I heard Chef Jeffrey Zakarian tell our students is, don't spend time and energy comparing yourself to others. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday. And without taking away their lines, the other speakers today and the speakers in Los Angeles, our guest speakers there who were different, all said something pretty similar. Don't spend time and energy comparing yourself to others. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday. Advice point number 3, allow yourself to focus on your dreams and work with drive. While being patient, do take the time to dream big. It may not be something you do every day, but think about it enough to inspire you. What does that mean? Well, that means developing and plan steps, be they baby steps or big steps, that help you move forward with your goals. Much of that can be on the job, taking the time to learn things that are beyond your current responsibility, and volunteering to do things that maybe weren't part of your job description, helping with an opening. My own children are the same age as many of you, and in recent years, I have been giving them what I call adult advice. One idea I came up with has to do with the old adage of having a plan A, plan B, etc. I have said to them, why not have 3 plan A's and then a plan B and a plan C? Plan A is the one you will work hardest on and think about the most. If you have multiple plan A's, the odds of one of them coming to fruition are higher, and then you never have to settle for plan B or C. I also urge you to work with drive. That's because when you work with drive all the time, particularly when you are earlier in your career, later on, you may be able to drive anywhere. There's, an old adage, I don't know who made it up, you've probably heard it, but the whole idea of the harder I work, the luckier I get. Well, I think it's true, and working hard takes drive, and the extra things you do with drive, you don't know who's going to notice, but it will be noticed. You don't know what good things will come of it, but it might. And, the surprises, that's where good surprises come from. Last advice, and I need to take a sip of water before this because it's pretty lofty. That's to use your influence. These days, one thinks of, when we talk about influence, you think of social media influence. Today, you may have 50 or 5,000 followers. Does anyone here have more than 5,000 followers? 4,900? All right. Well, I don't. ICE does, but anyway, wait, you went to culinary school. You are graduating from the Institute of Culinary Education. That means when it comes to food, taste, diet, and restaurants, you have more knowledge and influence than most of the people you know. And no doubt that influence and knowledge will grow, not just in the next year or two, but hopefully for decades. So there's many ways you can use your influence. How about America's public health? Here's some facts. Americans eat too many calories and fat and too much processed food. American children eat too much sugar, and Americans don't eat enough fiber or probiotics. Maybe in some small or large way, you can have influence on that. Not on the whole country, but in your restaurant, in your community, in your town. Sustainability. It's difficult for small farms in America to compete against large industrial farms, but you may be in a position to choose to buy from the small farms. You may have a position where you can choose to serve the fish that are plentiful and not the ones that are endangered. And then, I know this is a heavy lift, world peace. Think of all the people and groups and neighbors who are fighting each other. You know one thing they have in common? Well, more times than not, they like to eat the same foods. So maybe eating and food can be the basis for peace. Now, I have set some lofty goals for you. I don't know how you are going to do it, but as an ICE graduate, maybe you can. So use your influence. In closing, I want to congratulate you all for graduating from the Institute of Culinary Education. I wish you good fortune, good luck, good health, good cooking, baking, and managing, and enjoy the journey you have begun.
Thank you, Chairman Smilo. Our next speaker is our alumnus speaker, Chef Gabrielle Chappelle. After graduating college with degrees in journalism and Spanish, Gabrielle, or Gabby, Chappelle moved to New York City to work in production. A love of hosting and interviewing led her to audition for various casting calls, and one of which was for the food media publication Epicurious. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit, she shifted gears and decided to pursue her passion and make cooking her full-time job. Chef Gabby is now known for her pop-up menus, social media presence, and is also the season 3 winner of Next Level Chef on Fox. As part of her prize, she will receive personal coaching from chefs Gordon Ramsay, Richard Blais, and Naisha Arrington for a year. Welcome, Chef Chappelle.
Oh, wow. It's a big difference from when I first graduated. And, these were my original mentors. Who needs Gordon Ramsay when you have these guys, really? Don't tell him I said that. Hasn't even started yet. But no, it is such a joy to be here today and to have the opportunity to speak to all of you. I have to be honest, this is actually my first time at graduation. On the day of my graduation, I had just started my first full-time job in the industry and I couldn't make it. So it feels really good to be here and be able to make that happen today. And I have to be honest too, it is my 30th birthday. Woo! The big 3-0. It is not as scary as everyone makes it out to be. I'm actually really excited to be entering a new decade and leaving my 20s behind. So the best is yet to come. All that to say, I am incredibly grateful to be able to share this special day with each and every one of you. I want to start by being completely honest, though. Becoming a chef hasn't always been my dream. It's hard to believe that it was actually 8 years ago that I finished my undergraduate degree in journalism at Penn State University. I wanted to be a storyteller, but in order to do that, I felt like I needed to move out of my small town in Pennsylvania and explore. So after tons of applications and doing my best to get my resume out there, I ended up scoring a job as a producer in advertising. Though I was really excited to be in a new city, it was an incredibly tough industry that I simply was not passionate about. And I learned a lot about juggling a ton of projects at once, but I couldn't see my future there. So I decided to quit, and my income now, at this point, relied on gig work, AKA freelancing, which catapulted me into a series of seemingly random opportunities. Paying the bills at this point in New York became an extreme sport. On weekends, I would waitress brunch shifts, and during the week, I would be toggling between different productions and trying my hand again in front of the camera as a reporter. And as fate would have it, a unique casting opportunity soon turned into my biggest passion. I became a part of the Epicurious YouTube world as a home cook, otherwise sort of known as a level 2 chef. Creating recipes for these videos became the thing that I treasured most. Though as much as I loved it, it was purely a passion project. It did not pay the bills. So I couldn't exactly quit my day job, but it did help me understand just how much I enjoyed cooking and exploring new flavors and cuisines. I began to look back at all of the ways cooking has been a consistent motif throughout my life, whether it was picking grapes from my Nana's garden and making grape jelly, or making traditional Slavic recipes. Cooking and learning from my family had been a huge part of my life and something that brought me immense joy. So in March of 2020, when the world shifted and I lost all of the freelance work that I had built up over the years, I decided that there was no better time to take a leap of faith and apply to be a student in the Institute of Culinary Education's Health Supportive Culinary Arts program. Go plant-based! This program was unlike any other culinary program I'd ever heard of before. It demonstrated how food can be healing and how plant-based cooking is its own art form, mirroring my own passions toward food. Growing up in central Pennsylvania, I was raised in an agriculturally focused small town, so the concept of farm-to-table cooking appealed to me in so many ways. I adored learning about chefs that championed seasonal ingredients, and it was fascinating to discover all of the ways to inject satiety into plant-based dishes. My curiosity is what fueled me. But no matter how much experience and understanding I continued to gain, I soon realized that it would be impossible to know everything about cooking. As Julia Child famously once said, "You'll never know everything about anything, especially something you love," which was a fact that I was starting to understand. And in some ways, I found incredibly comforting. I realized that there were so many paths that I could take now that I felt like I was pointed in the right direction with cooking as my North Star. When I was in the classroom, the goal was to replicate. You replicate your techniques. You replicate a dish, a recipe, and all of this replication, though incredibly helpful throughout the learning process, I realized upon finishing my program at ICE, I sort of was experiencing this paralysis of creativity. I found myself overwhelmed and oversaturated with other people's creations. I was constantly comparing myself to chefs I would see on social media and all the trending recipes that were happening. And as someone who has suffered a lot from imposter syndrome, I recognized how stifling this was. And I had to challenge myself to deviate away from replication. And so one day, I decided to just unfollow all these food influencers that I was following and completely scrub my timeline of all of these trending recipes. And as the noise of all of these other chefs and creators quieted, I found that I no longer was creating comparisons. I began to really dive in and ask myself, what's my signature way of cooking? I looked to more tactile resources like farmers markets and exploring my neighborhood's specialty markets. And from that, my creativity blossomed. But even at that point, I knew that I needed to continue to learn more hard skills in the kitchen. Though I never saw myself going with the traditional restaurant line cook route, I knew that after graduation, I needed to be consistently in the kitchen so that I could upkeep what I learned throughout my time at ICE. I started by helping at a variety of pop-ups throughout the city, constantly learning new menus and dealing with intense execution to high-paying customers. But it wasn't exactly steady enough, so I found a job working for a female-owned and operated farm-to-table catering company in Brooklyn. Working as a prep chef in a catering company allowed me the opportunity to experience executing high-volume recipes and the pacing necessary to feed hundreds of people at a time. It was a lot of work, and I got heat rash more than once, but I thoroughly enjoyed the intense level of learning. Also during this time, a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend asked if I wanted to provide meal prep service twice a week, as like a personal chef, so to speak. And I had no experience in this area, but I was up for the challenge. I hopped on that opportunity, and for a year, I basically ran my own business meal prepping, executing menus, creating dinner parties, and navigating what it was like to be a personal chef, while still helping to cater throughout the week. Within those years following graduation, I staged at a high-end restaurant, created private dinner experiences, catered, worked as a personal chef, practiced food styling, assisted pop-up dinners, and then eventually went on to host my very own pop-up events throughout the city. I truly felt that I had tried on many facets of the industry, and above all else, I was putting in the hours. These hours built the foundation not only of my knowledge and comfort of dealing with the pressure of the industry, but it also helped me forge important relationships. It built a circle of mutual support. I found other people who would gladly drop my name in a room full of important people. Those are the kind of people I wanted in my corner. Networking fostered blossoming opportunities. So by the end of last summer, I was really hitting my stride in the industry. I had my steady personal chefing client, and I was hosting successful pop-up dinners that were starting to gain traction. I was still unsure exactly what direction my career was taking, but I was feeling really excited about where it was going. When out of seemingly nowhere, a friend of mine from college who was now a casting director asked me if I wanted to be on Gordon Ramsay's Next Level Chef. My immediate reaction was to say no. I only really had a couple of years of experience, and I knew I would be up against professional chefs who have spent their entire careers in the industry. I was also worried about losing the momentum of my current endeavors, but I really thought about it, and something else that Julia Child said struck me, which was that the only real stumbling block is fear of failure. In cooking, you've got to have a what the hell attitude. So after weighing my options and going through the casting process, I figured, what the hell? Flash forward to about 2 weeks ago, where I was bestowed the incredible honor of being named the Season 3 champion of Next Level Chef by none other than Chef Gordon Ramsay. It feels really good to be in a room full of people who watch cooking shows. Like, that means a lot. The competition was simultaneously the most challenging thing I've ever done, but also the most joyous. And if I had let that fear prevent me from embarking on this journey, I would have missed out on the opportunity to push myself past what I even knew I was capable of. I can't even fathom missing out on the learning opportunity and the chance to propel my career. I now have a platform where I can share this part of my journey with others and blend my love of storytelling and production with my passion for getting people excited to learn about their relationship to food. I really hit the jackpot. But I do recognize that being in a culinary cooking competition is not something that everyone has the chance to do. However, I am confident that everyone encounters the opportunity to take risks and push beyond their comfort zone. With that being said, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the Institute of Culinary Education, and specifically the chef instructors who work hard to pass down their expertise to students. I'd like to give a special thank you to my two primary instructors that I had while I was here at ICE, Chef Celine Beichman, who I watched in awe as she thoroughly conveyed culinary concepts through a lens of passion and precision. And of course, Chef, now Dean, Elliot Prague, who allowed me to find self-expression and creativity in each class, and who motivated me through each phase of my career. I'd also like to thank Julia Child for providing me with 100% of the quotes I've used in this speech. She's a woman I clearly admire. And lastly, I'd like to thank my newest mentors, Chef Richard Blaze, Chef Naisha Arrington, and of course, Chef Gordon Ramsay. For the opportunity of a lifetime, I am so grateful. And for all of the other chefs and mentors I've met throughout my career and through all these phases and the turbulence, I am grateful. Keep in touch with your mentors, and they will continue to guide you. Each of you are here today because you have achieved your goal of completing this program. You should be immensely proud of yourselves because I know from experience it's not easy. I understand that many of you took risks and chances on yourselves. Some of you may have graduated from high school and decided to follow your passion for cooking. Some of you wanted to get your footing in the industry and gain a deeper understanding of the business. And I can certainly relate to those of you that decided to say, what the hell, and change your entire career path. I didn't make it to graduation, but this is the advice I would have wanted to hear on that day. Keep up this momentum. Dive right into new opportunities to further perfect your craft. Do not compare yourself to others. There is an abundance of opportunity, and the right thing will be waiting for you. Be fearless, be authentic, showcase who you are through your own unique sense of creativity, and don't forget that failure can be a springboard. Don't be afraid of it, because it might just lead you to the path of the perfect opportunity. From the bottom of my heart, congratulations to each and every one of you. Make sure you take the time to celebrate this moment. I wish you all immense success. Thank you.
Thank you, Chef Chappelle. That's a truly inspiring speech. And I know there's things that all of us in the audience and on the stage are grateful to hear it. Our next speaker is our keynote speaker, Chef Mashma Bailey. Chef Mashma Bailey is the executive chef and co-founder of the award-winning restaurant The Gray in Savannah, Georgia. The Gray was an immediate success in the national culinary scene, with accolades pouring in. It was nominated for the James Beard Award for Best New Restaurant in 2015 and was named one of Food & Wine's Best New Restaurants of 2015. In 2017, the restaurant was named Eater's Restaurant of the Year and earned a spot on Time Magazine's World's Greatest Places. Chef Mashma herself was nominated in the James Beard Award category of Best Chef, Southeast, in 2018, winning the category the following year and winning the ultimate award of Outstanding Chef in 2022. Beyond her formal recognition of awards, she's been featured as a guest on Top Chef and profiled in the opening episode for season 6 of Netflix hit show Chef's Table. She also serves as vice chairman on the board of the Edna Lewis Foundation, working to preserve and celebrate Edna's legacy that heavily influenced her menu at The Gray. Chef Bailey is also the chef and co-founder of the Gray Market and the Diner Bar at Thompson Hotel in Austin, Texas. The next project for Chef Bailey and her business partner, John Morisano, is to open a restaurant in Paris, France. Chef Bailey, welcome.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Chef Richard, for that warm introduction. I'm really, truly honored to be here today. Thank you to the entire faculty at ICE for providing mentorship for the past, present, future students, and graduates. Thank you to the parents, families, and friends for supporting these crazy folks that want to go out and do culinary arts. These are my people, so I thank you. I understand what it means to have people in your corner, tasting your concoctions and helping you to strive to be better. So family and friends, we love you. Thank you so much. And thank you to the class of 2024 for having me here today. Yeah, thank yourself, right, exactly. You did all the work, I just showed up today. You've been here for months. When Rick Smilo first extended an invitation for me to speak today, I must admit I was slow to respond. I was hesitant even, for reasons that were both exciting and terrifying. I am excited because I get to share parts of my own story that has me returning back to the work. I've learned about what motivates me and how to hold myself accountable. I have fallen in love with this industry, warts and all. I am terrified because I'm a restaurant chef. I'm a savory restaurant chef at that. And so my public speaking experience is really limited to the confines of the restaurant and, the staff that I pay to listen to me, and also telling them about the daily additions and 86s on the menu. So seeing you all sitting here at attention with your chef whites on, it makes me feel at ease. I see you over there with the blazers on too. I feel pretty comfortable. So some of you are at the beginning of your culinary and pastry and baking and management journeys. The work for you starts now. For others, the work has always been there. You will continue to rise to the challenges that come your way. This industry is in your heart and soul. And there are those of you who are like me. You made the decision to change careers and become full-time occupants of this crazy industry. And then there are others who plan to explore the different aspects of food and management and what it all has to offer. Whatever path you took to get here, you represent the future of this industry, and I'm excited for you. Take a moment and celebrate your transition from being a student to embarking on a new journey as a professional. We acknowledge your hard work and dedication. It is the start of a new chapter in the book of your life, and I hope you're ready to embrace those new challenges, seize opportunities, and make the most of every moment. As I stand here before you, I can't help but to reflect about my own time at ICE. At 25, I was at a crossroads, and I decided to turn my appreciation for food into a career. I enrolled in the work-study program at Peter Kump's, it's recreational culinary school, and it was newly renovated on 23rd Street and 6th Avenue. The school was much smaller then. There was way fewer classes. The campus in California was just a myth. It didn't exist then. It was too far away from Manhattan. And you needed real-life work experience to enroll in classes. So I worked at a little cafe in Brooklyn, and there were only 3 floors to the school. One for savory kitchens, one for pastry and bread, and a partial floor for the walk-ins and inventory. Yeah. I worked for 700 hours, stocking classrooms, washing dishes, and receiving deliveries in exchange for a part-time curriculum that would teach me the basics of French cooking. At that time, I lived in East New York, Brooklyn, and my days were long, but I took the L train back and forth to Manhattan, and that transportation was easy enough. It's how I got from work to home to school. Cooking was new and exciting for me then. Growing up in Queens and now living in Brooklyn, the idea of going into the city was fancy. As I became more familiar with international ingredients through the work-study program, I often thought, I can get used to fancy. In 6 months, I completed the program, and around that same time, it became nationally accredited. So Peter Cumps became the Institute of Culinary Education. On the very first day of our Module 1 class, chef instructor Michael Handel asked the group a question. Do you love cooking? We all looked at one another, and then we looked back at Chef, and the group mumbled, yes? No, he said. Do you love it? Being in this industry, do you love it? He asked again. This time, we all sat up straight to speak more clearly, trying to sound confident and more convincing. Yes, chef. He went on to say, you need to love cooking to pursue it as a career. This is hard work, and having a passion for this industry will help you to endure it. Loving what you do can make this a dream job. As a career changer, I didn't know if cooking was what I wanted to do forever. Cooking was fresh and it came easy to me at the time. I liked learning how to make fresh pasta, pastry creams, and quick breads. I loved tasting the differences between salts and relishing in the feeling of how the crystals cut my tongue and made me salivate. I craved the warm, sweet taste of lobster when it was perfectly cooked. And at ICE, that was the first time I've ever tasted lobster. So members of my family, they were good cooks, and I like to eat, but did I love it? I wasn't sure. I completed my classes, learning and loving every minute. My GPA was higher in culinary school than it was in college, and so it convinced me that I was on the right path. But the love part, that still nagged me, and it still made me feel insecure. My culinary externship was at Aqua Grill in Soho under Chef Jeremy Marshall. I was a pastry plater, and I made tuiles and apple tarts and spun ice cream and cut lots and lots of fruit. Chef was a passionate yeller, and he was always at the restaurant. The team was small, competitive, supportive, and a tiny bit toxic, but I didn't care. I was living the dream. A few weeks later, into my externship, I caught a cold. And the thought of calling out sick, it made me feel guilty. In my previous career, I would have just taken a sick day. But I felt like if I did that, I would have let the team down. I often look back at that moment. Having those feelings of guilt and commitment is where it all came tumbling down for me. It all began to click for me then. I understood what Chef Michael was saying. I realized cooking for most people was recreational, but professional cooking, fueled by passion, was about being a part of something. Cooking for me has become about dedication, practice, and teamwork. From that moment on, I knew that I wanted to be a part of the team. I loved the community of being in a restaurant. I loved how it was appreciated in that environment. Love has different phases and expressions. The working part of this career, it just never changes. You're always going to be on your feet. You're always going to be working and sweating. My path was a windy one. I took breaks, but I often ended up back into the kitchen. Long days, standing up, hot kitchens, not so nice reviews after a hard night of service when nothing seems to go your way, small profit margins. As the years passed, I continued to find ways that inspired me through the hard work. And I've continued to find ways to hold myself accountable. Accountability can manifest in many different ways. I was standing in the prep kitchen at the Gray restaurant 2 weeks ago, and as I looked around our 250 square foot room, I thought, I cannot continue to work like this. The sugar belongs next to the salt. The spice shelf needs to be consolidated, and the vinegars are too low. So Willie, our AM receiver, he would have to lift the vinegars up above his head, and I just didn't think that was right. Admittedly, I began this task fueled by emotion and an unhealthy mixture of frustration and resentment. I thought, why am I the only one that's seeing this? Are we cooks or are we wolves? Do we not want to work in a clean space? So down the rabbit hole I went with label maker in hand for 6 hours, and I reorganized our small workspace. My energy began to shift as I took apart and put the pieces of our prep kitchen back together again. I became compassionate. I thought about my young management team and the pressure they must feel when I'm traveling, because I'm not there today in their service tonight, so I'm sure they feel pressure. I thought about all the other things that they do well and how eager they are to do more. They do not know my expectations, and this is how I can teach them, through action. I was doing the act of service for my team, setting them up for success. And once the kitchen was cleaned, organized, and labeled, I felt great. I was in the trenches with them again, guiding them by example. Okay, we get it. To work in the industry, you gotta be able to lift 300 not 300. Ooh, can you imagine? We would not be here. 35 pounds. You gotta lift 35 pounds. And you gotta think on your feet. And you have to be a team player. The work that it takes to be in this business, it never stops. And you must come to terms with that. I can't stress that enough. You have to come to terms with the fact that you gotta be on when you're on and rest when you can rest. But when people wanna eat, we're the ones who serve them. We all know the hard part about that. And we all know how to say, but how do we stay excited by that? My excitement came from the need of being a part of something. I thought it was very important to exceed the expectations of my mentors and to demonstrate my commitment in every task I undertook. Look closely at the things that motivate you in this industry. Look for the small wins. Look for the people that grow the ingredients, the folks that serve your guests, the cooks that want to learn. This industry will show up for you. This is the part of the industry that we all know and love. Some of you may not know if you love it, and that's okay because it doesn't hit us all like a lightning bolt. That wasn't my story either. But love can grow over time, and love can also be challenging. So I will leave you with a few questions that was asked of me early on in my career. Why do you love this industry? How will you leave it better? And how does it love you back? For me, it took some time, but once I decided not to overthink it, it became simple. I felt good working in kitchens. I like being a part of a team. I enjoy the community of the culinary industry. I like the sense of accomplishment when someone eats my food and that invokes a memory that makes them smile. Figuring out how this industry will love you back is a bit harder to define. First, it's not a logical thought. The culinary industry can't keep you warm at night. It doesn't comfort you when you're sick. The ingredients will spoil if you don't return quickly enough to prepare them. This industry, with all its faults, has made me more thoughtful and has introduced me to some of the most amazing people on the planet. I've learned to nourish myself and others through food. That's a love that gives back, and I will always be here for that. So to the class of 2024, congratulations, you have crossed over. Go out and make your mentors proud.
Thank you, Chef Bailey, for sharing the insights that come from your amazing journey. Well, if the speakers are done, you know what time it is. We will now confer diplomas. Our first group of students will be our pastry and baking graduates. Diplomas will be distributed by the lead instructor, Richard Kennedy. Will the pastry and baking candidates please rise? I would ask, now I'm glad that you all had a good clap, because we're going to ask you not to clap until the end so that we can get through the presentation. So we'd ask you to just hold your applause. And for photography, we have a photographer that's taking pictures of your loved ones, so you needn't worry that you won't get that magic moment. Let's begin. Nicole Bird. Angie Marte. Sandra Dela Cruz. Brianna Teta. Catherine Lopez Garcia. Napasorn Paksin. Ella Baldwin. Emma Brush. Shaima El Khatib. Ana Lopez. Hannah Condon. Daniela Amigan. Gabriel Ramos. Jimin Park. Anusha Ashwin. Paola Gomez. Ashley Izaparte. Sarah Moreno Barber. Cara Rodriguez. Toby Sandhouse. Joyun Han. Khalid Ashi. Caden Hidalgo. Ashley Alvarez. Andrew Chiang. Christopher Mazzaro. Litsi Herrera. Sam Latterbach. John Buckholtz. Kevin Juarez. Mishka Ulandra. Tanisha Jeffrey, dual diploma graduate in pastry and baking arts and restaurant and culinary management. Danielle Wahab. Nadia Yakub. Agnes Guevara. Charles Schweiger. Heidi Guzman. Ashley Duran. Claire Moon. Elma Buraria. Jesus Garcia. Magali Perez Diaz. Mirav Dolev. Zoe Brinton. Ashley Oriana. Jennifer Kim. Antoinette Matarelliano. Michael Giardiello. Gisette Arroyo. Stephanie Lopez. Ellie Jorissa. Naomi Tifane. Stephanie Cevallos. Janine Vega. Maureen Murphy. Cairo Garcia. Ayana Alston. Damino Charlier Juste. Maria Gallardo. Asem Dobradoli. Madeline Snell. Sarah Chun. Tiffany Ong. Charlene Allison Puertollano. Christopher Estrella. Marissa Aiken. Alondra Yavina. Jimena Guisa. Avery Morant. Jean Werner. Jalen McNeely. Gypsy C. Bisono Ramirez. Ana Castellanos. Ashley Austin. Sara Vélez. And let's have a round of applause for our pastry and baking graduates. Will our plant-based culinary arts students please rise? Diplomas will be conferred by the lead instructor, Scott Larson. Camille Otis. Leslie Shaw. Natasha Diarmani. Kristen Luchansky. Jordan Powers. Jillian Koch. Naomi Scott. Selena Moon. Grace Gendron, dual diploma graduate, pastry and baking arts and culinary management. Lauren Hom. Tamaris Winnie. Adea Wood. Gabriela Lopez. Najla Niemer Corona, dual diploma graduate, pastry and baking arts and culinary management. Angela Oates L. Radha Budhu. Alexandra Buta. Carmen Alkire. Juliana Wallen. Bethany Morrison. Dimex Louis Charles. Hannah Thine. Daphne Rose Pandeagua. Beth DeBruin. Sharon Noble. Olivia Garcia. Broha Zupnik. Olivia Sobel. Let's give our plant-based culinary arts students a round of applause. Will our restaurant and culinary management students please rise? Diplomas will be presented by Brian Konopka, Dean of Restaurant and Management Studies. Tina Burns. Francesco Chiodi. Jason Barron. Edgar Perez Diaz. Giancarlo Rivas. Salvatore Berito. Stephanie De Dios. Liliana Calderon. Ariel Castro. Jeanette Lopez. Emily Lemos. Rosaria Riley. Jeffrey Buon. Jean-Pierre Ramirez. Michael Anashuk. Ryan Reynolds, dual diploma graduate, PACE Culinary Management and Culinary Arts. Jordan Rodriguez. Dunia Harrison. Alessandra Battaglia. Let's have a round of applause for our restaurant and culinary management graduates. Will our hospitality and hotel management students please rise? They went with the other crowd. I guess you saved me some effort there, huh? While our diplomas have been conferred, we want you to realize that this ceremony may mark the end of your time with us as students. It doesn't end our relationship with you. We hope to be a part of your future, helping with employment, delighting in your success. We can't wait to feature you in our newsletter, to boast about you on social media, and perhaps, one day, to welcome you to the faculty. May each day bring you that special joy that comes from making your passion your vocation. And before we come to the final conclusion of our commencement exercise, I'd like to invite you all to join us in celebrating our alumna speaker, Chef Gabby's 30th birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Abby. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, thank you guys. I'm crying. This is so nice. It's my garden. I don't know if you can see it, but it even has the flamingo. Oh, thank you guys. Coolest birthday ever, seriously.
So if anyone's wondering why it is that we put on this coat, it's to be able to do what that meant to somebody. And that makes us a very privileged bunch of people. Will the graduates please rise? A final round of applause. Now, when I count 3, toss your toques. Are we ready? 1, 2, 3. Congratulations. We ask our guests to please stay in your seats while our graduates process out. So please remain in your seats. They'll catch up with you outside the auditorium. Have a great day, and thank you for sharing this occasion with us.